A transparent corset, just like the word transparent, is a type of corset that the bodice blends or match the skin tone of the wearer. So instead of using your normal and regular fabric, you make use of a skin tone fabric. This skin tone fabric includes your bridal satin, your corset mesh, and your illusion net, just like the ones I have here. As you can see, we have different color which indicates different skin tone. So this is a corset mesh. It is transparent. As you can see, it does not stretch at all, and it is also thicker than an organza, because some people mix it up with organza. And as you can see, if you place it on your body, it matches with your skin tone. So you get the one that matches your skin tone or that of your client, and you are good to go. Also, we have illusion net, so you can also make use of illusion net. Just get the original, and depending on what you want to achieve or what you're trying to make, you are going to be using multiple layers of illusion net. So just like I have here, illusion net also have different skin tone. And as for the original, when you place or poke your finger inside like this, it's not going to tear and it's not going to deform. Then it stretches on both sides, but one side actually stretch more than the other. So back to today's business, we are going to learn the right boning techniques for transparent corsets. A Regilin boning, also known as sewable boning, is the most appropriate for a transparent corset, except if you are going to be making a double boning technique, whereby you are going to be inserting a smaller size of plastic boning inside a Regilin boning, and that is after which you already created your bone channel on your. Because this is a transparent corset, we are going to be making use of a fabric for the bone casing instead of a bias tape. Okay, you know that in our regular corset we make use of our bias, but this time around we want to cover up the boning. We don't want it to show, so that's why we are going to be making use of enough fabric. I'm still going to show us the process. So for this, we are going to need your Regilin boning. You're going to need a piece of fabric to create your bone casing, and if you want to have a double boning technique, then you can also get a plastic boning in which you are going to be inserting later. Now we are going to work with this corset mesh. Now these are the things that we are going to need. Of course, we are going to have our Regilin boning, the bone casing, the fabric for the bone casing. Then we are going to have our pattern. So I just assume this is two patterns that we want to join together. So if you want to join a corset mesh, you are going to be joining to the right side, meaning that the allowance or the seam allowance, the joining is going to be facing the right side, and we are going to be trimming off the excess. A corset mesh does not really have a right side or the wrong side, okay, but just indicate and know where you want to use for the right or the wrong side. So the first thing you want to do, so I assume that this piece that I have here is going to be my pattern, that is maybe the side front and the center front. So I'm going to be joining this together, and after joining it, I'm going to trim off the excess. But before that, this is how it's going to look like. So instead of having this one inside, is going to be outside like so. All right, then you are going to trim off the excess at the front like so. But you need to make sure that you got very close to the seam, like 0.25 inches left. Now what you want to do next is to place your boning exactly on that line. So before you do that, now you need to cover up the boning before placing it on the fabric, or your bodice, your corset mesh. Now you need up to like 2 inches fabric for the bone casing. Then the length is going to be as long as that particular point or place you want to put your boning. So please pay close attention to the way I'm going to be covering this. So the first method, you can place your boning on the fabric like so, then you fold it. All right, so after folding like so, you run a stitch on this line very close on the tip of the Regilin boning. With this, we already cover up the boning. So the second method in which you can simply fold your fabric like so. If you want the bone channel to be thicker, okay, then you place your boning like so. So if you want to use this method, your fabric has to be wider than that of 2 inches. Then you're going to after running your stitch, you are going to flip it over like so. You place it on your corset mesh, then you run your stitch. Then another one is you wrapping the boning like so. you are going to need enough fabric for this as well. Wrap it like twice, then you're going to place it exactly like this on the corset mesh, that particular point that you want to have your bone channel. But this is somehow tricky and difficult, so you can just run your stitch directly on the boning before placing on the corset mesh. So you just decide on which of the methods you want to use. That's going to be easy and straightforward. So I'm going to show us this method now. I just need us to pay close attention to this. So, and there's another way in which you can do this, then you're still going to end up having the boning outside showing under the mesh, which is not supposed to be like that. So I'm just going to share us the two methods, the right one and the other one, in which we can stitch our boning channel and we are still going to be having our boning showing on the wrong side of the mesh. So you're going to place your boning on the fabric like so, then you're going to run your stitch on the edge of the boning just like you see me doing, and after which you are done, you're going to fold your boning. After folding, you place it on that part or that line you want to have your bone channel, then you run a stitch on the allowance you have left. So you can either cut out the excess before sewing like this, or you cut the excess after sewing. By the time you are done, the 0.25 is going to be in between the bone channel that you have left. Okay, so now I'm going to trim again the allowance on the bone channel, but you need to be careful so that you don't cut into your seam on your mesh. So after this, now you are going to flip over. You're going to flip over the boning like so, then you're going to run your stitch on the edge of the boning, a very tiny stitch, because you want a seamless sewing. Okay, so you take your time, place it on the edge of the boning and run your stitch straight down to the end of your bone channel. So guys, we are done, and as you can see, at the wrong side of the mesh, the boning is not showing, and at the same time the seam is not showing because we already secured it. So you don't want to leave your seam, and because this is not going to have a lining, it will not be comfortable for you wearing a mesh with the sharp edge. So that is why we need to have our seam under our bone channel, and it's going to give you a seamless wrong side like so, so your wearer will be comfortable while wearing this. Okay, so now let's move to the other method, in which could lead us to having a wrong boning technique. Now, if you do not have enough fabric like I have here, and you run your stitch, you fold your fabric into two and run your stitch on it, or even if it's just a single piece of fabric, you run your stitch on your bone channel like so, without any allowance or excess that you are going to use to flip over and cover the boning. Then after sewing, you place it on your mesh directly like that. So by the time you run the first stitch and you flip over just like that and stitch down your bone channel, the boning is going to be showing on the wrong side. That means it is very wrong, because that is not what we are trying to achieve. As you can see now, there's difference between the two. The boning is showing here and it is not showing on the other side. So now I just hope we now know why and how we should do our bone channel on our corset mesh, our illusion mesh, or our see-through corset, or whatever you call it. So that will be all for the tutorial. Thank you very much for watching up to this moment. If you find it helpful, kindly click on the like button, share so that we can reach as many people as possible. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so that whenever we drop a new video, you'll be the first person to know. Until next time we meet in my tutorial, bye bye.